Hello, welcome to the info session for Grow to Scale, specifically Cohort 2, which will begin September 15th and run through November 20th, 2026. I am Nakia Drummond. I am founder and CEO of She's Well Networked, and we are committed to supporting 1,000 Black women in the state of Maryland and scaling their businesses to $1 million or more. My work in that is around the creation of our programs, of course, our development fundraising, but and also like nurturing community. And I'm super excited to do this work and particularly feel it is of great importance in this season, in this time, that we are building community with one another and seeing how we can thrive in business together, and to scale our businesses, which means that our revenues are outpacing our costs and we are able to innovate, create jobs, and build legacy. And so that is why we are here today. Thank you to our sponsor for Grow to Scale Cohort 1 and 2, Care First, and their commitment to the wellness of Black women entrepreneurs in the state of Maryland. And shout out to my program partners. These are the women who show up in this program and provide the coaching week to week. Racheal Allen, who is the founder and CEO of Operations School, she has over 20 years of experience in building and scaling businesses and organizations through strategy, systems, operations. Racheal is that girl. And then Mosley, Dr. Mosley, who is the founder and CEO of the PlayBook, also a consulting psychologist, works with all the major sports teams to make sure they got their minds right so their play can be right, so their performance can be right, and has created an amazing health and wellness app to support that performance and wellness called the PlayBook. So who's more high performing and under more lights than a Black woman entrepreneur? Nobody. So if Mosley is doing that important work over there with athletes, she's bringing it to this arena, to this space, to do that same performance and wellness work and coaching with Black women entrepreneurs. And we are excited to be in partnership with the both of them. Quick points of data that I want to share, and this slide has a lot of information, but I want to point out a couple things that between 2019 and 2024, Black women employer firms increased 102.8% in revenue, right? So that's Black women firms that had employees. And 13% firm, we experienced 13% firm growth, right? Outpacing the national average. We were growing, our actual businesses grew by 13%, which was more than any other demographic in business. And I named those two things during those time periods because it was before the economic disruptions that and political disruptions that 2025 brought to the table. And so I say that to say that while we still have not had like all the resources, opportunities, and things that we need, when there is intention about putting those resources and those calling out those areas of disparity and creating way for us, we run and we get it done. So the challenges that we experience are not about a deficit in us, but a deficit in system, and in system wanting to create equitable pathways for us to grow. But as those pathways start to inch, we take that runway and we do something with it. So shout out to us for just being all that we are. Um, but there, even as those, the inching of pathway started in that time period, what we still know is that there's a $1.7 trillion um, gap in unrealized economic value because our businesses are not at parity with male-owned firms, right? And so if the gap were to close, that's $1.7 trillion that our businesses would bring into the economy. So doing good business for and with Black women, opening the space so that Black women can thrive is just good business. Well, we also know over the last year that at least 300,000 Black women have been pushed out of the workforce. That number I've even seen at 600,000 as reported by Fortune, but I'll even go with the conservative number. It's 300,000 Black women, 300,000 plus Black women have been pushed out of the workforce. And our unemployment has surged over the last year from 4.5, which was already high, the highest, to 7.5%. More Black women are going to start businesses, but also in need of new workplaces. And that's where those businesses that are in that growth mode and prepared to scale really need to show up. It is our time because scale businesses, businesses that are an employer firm businesses, one, they build wealth. 550K is the median net worth for an entrepreneur that has at least one paid employee. And that's actually, this is a misnomer. It's not even just Black entrepreneurs, that's across the board, which is four times that of the solopreneur that is averaging 135. So hiring really does compound wealth. Our ability to hire compounds wealth. It is not just about building business, it's about building wealth. And so that is why in this time in particular, it is so, so important that we are positioning ourselves to build greater wealth and to create those jobs. And that is where Grow to Scale comes in. This program is for Black women founders in Maryland ready to scale operations, meaning you are ready to see those revenues outpace those costs, outpace your expenses. And you are at least 100K in revenue currently and upwards of 1 million. We even had someone in cohort one who was well over that $1 million point. This is a 12-week cohort experience. It'll run September 15th through November 20th. It's hybrid, so there will be 7 virtual sessions and 3 in-person sessions. There's an investment of $250 if you're a well member and $500 if you are not a well member. That investment is directly goes directly into our free to scale fund and supports the growth of that fund, which then pours back out into Black women entrepreneurs. Your cohort will be 10 to 12 women. So let's talk program components. Again, it's the integrated curriculum between the playbook, which is that mental health and performance coaching, and support to not just support around you, the individual, but support around you, the CEO and the business, to thrive and operate as a well and healthy company. And then that operations, business infrastructure support. Now, Racheal has built several businesses to 7 figures plus, and she's done so in some of the traditional ways, but has also learned that leaning into her energy as a woman, her feminine energy as a leader is a secret sauce that has been devalued and that we're often told to push to the as far back as possible, that she's now pulling forward saying no, that's actually a way in which we will thrive as business owners, we will stand out as business owners, and also where we will maintain ourselves as business owners and as women. In addition, you'll create an application plan, which is, we've all been in programs and in cohorts where you get lots of information. It's great. You intend and plan to do something with it, but there's no space where you're actually building out the plan to do something with it. In this space, you will be provided with the structure and a template to implement and to think about how you want to apply what's being learned. That same application plan is what you will use for applying for the funding through our free to scale fund. You are eligible for the free to scale fund by completing this cohort, this program, and completing the application plan. And it's up to $15,000 in non-dilutive funding, meaning we're not asking for it back, and we're not asking for any interest in your company. That up to 15,000 is because, and I think I said 1,500, but it is up to 15,000 that you can apply for. And I say up to because in the last cohort, the way the cohort decided, because yes, you decide as a cohort how the funds get disseminated. The way the cohort decided was that 4 women in that cohort received that funding. And so they split that funding in several ways so that four women received funding that supported the next leg of their journey and their growth. And we'll have the in-person gatherings. I mentioned the three in-person during the cohort, as an alumni. We will bring you back to continue the building of community that is so, so important after programs. A little bit about the Free to Scale Fund. It was co-designed by Cohort 1. We asked ourselves to reimagine the world that we needed, the world that we wanted to see for ourselves, and in particular, how we are able to access funding and capital. And a couple things that came up that then this fund takes into account is what is the impact of our businesses on community, the ability to create um, jobs, the ability to move the people that purchase our products and services forward and to really support them. Are we building healthy workplaces, or are we replicating the same systems that we left, that we ran out of when we started our businesses? Are we pausing to create cultures that hold us as people, not just us, the CEO, but the people that come and work for us? Are we willing to share our success, right? Like, are we just building things in the dark and everybody just gets to see the progress and not the process? Are we willing to share and exchange those lessons and be a possibility model for someone else? And then this fourth one, really being able to name what is those assets that we bring as Black women that so often get undervalued, but then get extracted and replicated in other spaces. Our relational, our spiritual, our community, our communal assets. Are you able to name those? How can you name those for yourself, and how do they show up in your practice and in your business? And we are specifically funding those businesses that are in the season of scaling, ready to expand in the market, ready to make bigger and deeper impact through innovation, through hiring, through expansion of their services and their products. And that is where these funds go. And there's a reciprocal model, right? We're pouring in through the funds. You pour back through your story. You pour back through showing back up in community. That is how this becomes something that is sustaining. The program schedule looks like this. There are three in-person sessions. They're full day sessions. That's the ones in tan. And those sessions will be in the Greater Baltimore area and as far out as Annapolis in Maryland. We will spend the day together, typically 9:30 to 4:30. Those are sessions to go deep with yourself, to go deep with one another, to learn more about each other and each other's businesses, but also to get a deepened understanding of the frameworks that will be presented in the virtual sessions. The 7 virtual sessions take place on Tuesdays, almost every Tuesday, but there are some days when we don't have session, and they are 9:30 to 11:30 in the morning on those Tuesdays, held via Zoom, and they will either be with Racheal or Mosley. They flip flop so that you can have a deepened experience with each of them in each session and more time and space to go deep with the content versus having to sit with both in one particular week. Again, this program is for those who are ready to move from solopreneur, or maybe you already have staff, but you really are ready to take on the next level of a CEO mindset. Scale your systems so that they are sustainable long term and without you. Think about how it is you want to leave your business, right? Because we don't have to be here forever. And if you are not here, how the business keeps running. Build in community with other Black women who are thriving in their businesses and growing and really intentional about being in community with other people, and gain some expert guidance around your operations, around yourself as a leader, and your strategy for your own wellness and the wellness of your company. And mostly importantly, leave with an actionable roadmap. All right, so to apply, you are going to, we're going to drop the link for you. In this video or below this video, there's the link for you to apply. The application for cohort 2 is due Sunday, August 23rd. We will notify folks by the 31st if they've been asked to join us in this program. And the application is simple in that we ask you to share most of who you are in your plan for growth via video. And that's it. We look forward to you applying. We look forward to being in community with you. We look forward to growing and scaling with you in the coming weeks. Email us with questions, info@sheswellnetworked.org. Thank you.